Chapter 30. Lindsay. Dinner was pretty tense. Everyone tried to pretend that the fighting and arguing of the night before hadn't taken place. Spencer did an imitation of a woman trying to coax her 3 kids out of the pool. Pug told a story about his high school football team getting completely lost in another city on a trip to an away game. Everyone tried to laugh and talk, but even without any arguing, things were tense. There was a ghost at the table, Cassie's ghost. She haunted us even though we couldn't see or hear her. I've been thinking a lot about ghosts, naturally. That made 2 ghosts at the club, I thought bitterly, forcing myself to eat the hot dog on my plate. 2 ghosts, Cassie and me. I gazed at Mayanne. I wondered what she'd say if I told her I was a dead lifeguard, if I told her about the newspaper clipping that said I had drowned. I hadn't told anyone. I couldn't. Not till I knew the explanation. Not till I knew why the paper had written those lies about me. After dinner, I wandered out by the pool for a while. It was a hazy, hot evening. The sky was still a pale blue, although patchy clouds were floating in from the distance. A red ball of a sun was starting to lower itself behind the trees that hid the golf course. I sat down by the pool and tried to read. I had a mystery novel that was supposed to be good, but I couldn't concentrate. I was in no mood for any more mysteries. I felt restless, uncomfortable. The lounge chair stuck to the back of my tank top. I decided to take a walk, maybe go to the golf course and back. I wandered past the guest house and was approaching the small building that housed the exercise room, when I heard voices, angry voices. I stopped and peered over the hedge that bordered the path. The lowering sun beamed down onto the ground in front of the building, making everything rosy and unreal. Staring into the patch of red sunlight, I saw Pug and Mayanne. They were standing in front of the door to the weight room. Mayanne had an oversized yellow t-shirt pulled down over green spandex bike shorts. She had a tennis racket slung over her shoulder. Pug wore a blue muscle shirt and faded denim cutoffs. He was gesturing wildly with both hands, shaking his head as he talked. Mayanne shouted at him at the same time. I leaned forward against the hedge, curious to hear what they were arguing about. "Just keep your big mouth shut," I heard Mayanne shout angrily. "Maybe I will, maybe I won't," Pug shot back. They started shouting together again, but a low-flying jet cut overhead, its roar drowning out their words. What could Pug and Mayanne possibly be fighting about, I wondered, bewildered. I had never seen them say 2 words to each other. They didn't seem at all interested in each other. So what could they be fighting about? Suddenly, as I watched them argue, a shadow rolled over me, over the hedge in front of me. With a shudder, I realized I was no longer alone. Chapter 31. Lindsay. I turned to see that Deirdre had slipped up beside me. She had a blue and red Cubs cap pulled down over her short black hair. "Do you believe that, pig?" she said in a low voice. She pointed over the hedge toward Pug. I opened my mouth to answer, but Deirdre didn't give me a chance. "He's had his pick of every girl at this club," she said, practically spitting out the words. "And now he's hitting on Mayanne." She shook her head in disgust. The sun lowered behind the trees. Long shadows slid along the ground. "I could kill him. I really could," Deirdre murmured. "Not really," I said, thinking of Cassie. Deirdre frowned. "No, of course not. Not really. Sorry, Lindsay. I guess that was a bad choice of words. I didn't mean really kill him." She sighed. "But I can't believe he's going after Mayanne now." "They're fighting," I told her. "I don't really think Pug is Mayanne's type." "Oh, yeah?" Deirdre asked, challenging me. "Then why are they going off together so cozily?" I turned back to the exercise building in time to see Mayanne and Pug disappear inside, arm in arm. "Weird," I muttered. "Totally weird." "Tell me about it," Deirdre replied bitterly. Later, back in the room, I tried calling my parents one more time. I almost burst into tears when I got the same recorded message. I had called so many times, and I had tried information again and again with no success. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the phone, wishing it would ring, willing it to ring. I could hear Munchie rattling around in his cage, but I didn't go over to check on him. "Hey," I cried out as an idea flashed into my mind. Why hadn't I thought of it sooner? I dialed information and got the phone number of my only other relative, my Aunt Billy in Burlington. Eagerly, I punched in her number. I let the phone ring 12 times before I hung up. Now what? I suddenly realized that I had been at North Beach for over 2 weeks. I hadn't received a single phone call or a single letter. Why hadn't any of my friends written to me? A cold shiver ran down my back. Did my friends all think I was dead? Is that why they hadn't written? That's impossible, I told myself. Impossible. At 11 o'clock, Mayanne still hadn't returned. I listened to some tapes on my Walkman and tried to start my mystery novel again. A little after 12, I tucked myself into bed and fell into a restless sleep. I don't know how long I slept. When I woke up, the room was pitch black. I stared groggily up at the ceiling as I heard a whispered voice outside my door. Lindsay, Lindsay, come out here. Chapter 32. Lindsay. Who's there? I called sharply. I lowered my feet to the floor and made my way unsteadily toward the closed door. Silence out in the hall. Who's there? I repeated. I held my breath and listened. Lindsay, please come. A soft whisper, so soft I could barely hear it over the pounding of my heart. I slipped on my robe and glanced around the dark room. Where was Mayanne? Lindsay, please, Lindsay. I pulled the door open and stuck my head out into the hallway. No one there. The air in the hall was hot and smelled stale. I stepped out and silently closed the door behind me. Who's there? No answer. Mayanne? I called. No answer. I felt a cold chill at the back of my neck. I pulled the collar of my robe up and tightened the belt. Lindsay, please come. A whispered plea from the doorway that led out to the pool. Should I follow it? I knew I shouldn't, but I couldn't help myself. There were so many mysteries in my life, so many frightening puzzles. Perhaps this was one I could solve. I followed the whispers to the glass door. I could see the swimming pool under the black sky, the water bright and sparkling under the floodlights. I pushed the door open and stepped outside. A warm wind swirled around me, catching my light robe, fluttering my unbrushed hair. The trees beyond the pool area shook and whispered. I stopped halfway to the pool. The trees seemed to be whispering to me, Stay away, stay away. A shudder ran down my body as I stared at the still blue water. I expected to see the girl in the blue bikini, the girl floating face down in the water, but the pool was empty. Lindsay, please come. Follow me, Lindsay. Another whispered plea, soft as a breeze. I hesitated. Was I imagining the voice? Was I really hearing it? Was it coming from inside my head? No. It led me along the back of the guest house. I passed the darkened dining room, then the rooms on the far side. Lindsay, hurry. Where was the voice leading me? A rectangle of light stretched across the path. My eyes followed the light to the window of the exercise building. Why were the lights on in there? I stopped and listened, holding my robe together in the swirling, whispering wind. Lindsay, please come. From the door to the weight room. I turned off the path and made my way toward the voice. The grass felt cold and wet under my bare feet. Who's there? I called shrilly. What do you want? I pulled open the door to the weight room and peered inside. All the overhead lights were on, making the room as bright as day. The air felt hot and sticky. The room smelled of stale sweat. Black weights were stacked against one wall. The silver weight machines glowed in the bright light. I took a step across the linoleum floor, my eyes searching the room. Is anybody in here? My voice sounded low and harsh in the small room. Who's in here? Silence. Then I saw Pug. He was lying on his back between two weight machines. Pug, what are you doing? I cried. It's so late. I hurried across the floor to him, my bare feet wet against the linoleum. Oh, no. A low wail escaped my lips. Pug's eyes stared up at me lifelessly. His mouth was open in a frozen, silent cry for help. No, I moaned. A barbell stretched over his neck. The bar between the weights pressed down on his throat, choking off his air, crushing him, suffocating him. Pug was dead. Panting loudly, I bent down and tried to lift the barbell off him. I knew it was too late. I knew he was dead. It was an act of panic. I didn't really know what I was doing. I was still struggling with the barbell when I heard footsteps behind me and realized someone else was in the room. Uttering a cry of surprise, I let go of the barbell and spun around. Pete, I cried, what are you doing here? Part 4. The Ghost Revealed. Chapter 33. Lindsay. The police arrived quickly, the flashing red lights on their cruisers cutting through the black night. They grimly went about their work, talking in hushed tones among themselves as they swarmed around the weight room and the grounds outside it. I recognized some of the faces from the night of Cassie's death. Officer Malone, the young woman, was back. She was making notes on her little pad as she talked with Pete. The other lifeguards had been summoned. They all stood against one wall, looking on in grim silence. Deidre was crying again, leaning against a stack of weights, her hands over her face. They had found Mayanne. She was pale and drawn, her eyes narrow slits, her auburn hair flat and damp. Danny and Arnie hunched in a corner. Danny looked dazed. Arnie kept tapping his hand nervously against the wall. Spencer stood close beside me, as if ready to catch me if I fell. I couldn't stop shaking. My entire body felt chilled despite the heat of the room. I was walking to my room to go to bed, and I saw the lights on in the weight room, I overheard Pete explaining to Officer Malone. The lights shouldn't be on so late. I went to investigate. When I went inside, I saw Lindsay. I didn't know what she was doing at first. I saw her lifting a barbell off the floor. Then, his voice broke. Then I saw Pug. Officer Malone turned to me, her eyes locked on mine. I stared back at her for a moment. Then I turned away. Is she accusing me? I wondered, shaking even harder. Is that an accusing stare? Does she think I killed Pug? Does Pete think I did it? I stared down at Pug's body. The barbell had been lifted off, but the body hadn't been moved. Pug still stared up blankly, his mouth open in frozen horror. As I gazed down at him, I saw a black spider crawling slowly across his forehead. Oh! I let out a long sigh. I wanted to brush the spider away. Pug couldn't do it. I wanted to brush the spider off for him. Spencer grabbed my arm. Are you okay? He whispered, bringing his face close to mine, so close his dark hair brushed against my cheek. I can't stop shaking, I told him. My eyes were on the spider climbing down Pug's forehead. It slid down Pug's cheek, then crawled into his nose. I let out another moan. My stomach heaved violently, and I bent over and vomited. Half an hour later, the police had ordered us to the common room. We were sitting on the couch and chairs as Officer Malone questioned us. I was curled up on a leather armchair, my legs tucked beneath me. Danny had brought me a blue wool blanket, which I wrapped around myself. I felt warmer, but I still couldn't stop shaking. Spencer returned from the kitchen with a cup of hot tea for me. I tried sipping it, but my hand was shaking too badly to hold the cup steady. Get a grip, Lindsay, I kept repeating to myself. No one thinks you're a murderer. Get a grip. I took a sip of the tea, holding the cup in both hands. The hot steam rose up and felt soothing against my face. When I glanced up, I found Officer Malone staring at me, chewing her lower lip. You say you heard the mysterious voice again, she asked. Her voice revealed no emotion at all. It was as if she were asking if I liked lemon in my tea. I nodded and pulled the blanket tighter around me. You didn't recognize the voice? Officer Malone asked, expressionless, chewing her lip. No, I choked out. Why did you follow it? My mouth dropped open. I closed it. I stared back at her. I don't know, I told her. She lowered her pad. You don't know why? You heard a whispered voice and you followed it, again, knowing that the first time it led you to a murdered girl? I shut my eyes. I just followed it, I said. It pleaded with me. It told me to hurry. I opened my eyes. Angry words burst from my throat. You don't believe me, do you? I cried. You think I'm making up the voice. You think I killed Pug. You think I killed them both. Now, wait. Officer Malone held up a hand, motioning for me to stop. I had no reason to kill Pug, I screamed. No reason at all. Well, someone had a reason, a man's voice called from the doorway. A young police officer with red cheeks and curly blonde hair falling out from under his cap stepped up beside Officer Malone. Someone had a reason. Someone seems to be killing you off one by one. He muttered something to Officer Malone. Then he narrowed his eyes at me. Trent, did you get the time of death? She asked him. Martin says the boy's been dead at least an hour, Officer Trent replied, still staring at me. I shivered and tried to slide under the blanket. How come you look so familiar to me? Officer Trent asked, taking a few steps toward me. I had a sudden impulse to scream, because I drowned in a swimming pool here 2 years ago. Instead, I shook my head. I don't know, I murmured. I was a lifeguard here before. Do you come from around here? Officer Trent asked, swiping a fly off his broad forehead. As I started to answer, I heard Officer Malone begin to question Mayanne. Did Lindsay get along with Pug? She asked. Did Lindsay have any arguments with Pug? Any strong disagreements? I turned from Officer Trent to hear Mayanne's reply. She shifted uncomfortably in her chair. No, Mayanne said thoughtfully, twisting and untwisting a strand of auburn hair. Lindsay told you the truth? Lindsay had no reason at all to kill Pug? Officer Malone nodded and started to turn to Danny. But Mayanne had more to say. I'll tell you something kind of weird, she continued, still twisting her hair between her fingers. What's that? Officer Malone asked. Officer Trent turned his full attention on Mayanne, too. Well, Mayanne began slowly, this evening, a little bit after dinner, Pug and I were talking. We were on the path right outside the weight room. She hesitated. And? Officer Trent demanded impatiently. Well, I was talking to Pug, Mayanne continued. I looked up and I saw Lindsay. She was hiding behind a hedge, and she was staring at Pug and me, just staring at us, with this strange expression on her face. Chapter 34. Mouse. Hey, Terry, it's me, Mouse. Score 2 for me, none for them. Another one for you, Terry. Yeah, his name is Pug. His name was Pug. Whoa, I'm so excited, Terry. It gets me so excited. It's so hard not to jump up and down and dance and sing. But I hold it in somehow. I hold it in and put on a real heavy-duty solemn look on my face as soon as the police arrive. No one can guess that it's me. No way, Terry. Poor Pug. He had a real weight problem. That's a joke. He was a joke. Hey, don't worry about him. Pug was a real pain. Really. Always shooting his mouth off. Well, he isn't shooting it off anymore. You would have hated him, Terry. I did. He was your typical lifeguard. Big and blonde, always showing off, flexing for the girls. I got him for you, Terry. And I'm not finished. I've got the next one picked out. Okay. Well, I'll call you when I finish the next one. I know you can't call me. I hear only a dial tone, but I know you're there, Terry. Later, okay? Chapter 35. Lindsay. I had to get away. The club had been closed for a day while the police did their work. They covered every inch of the grounds, searching for clues, I guess, and they questioned us all endlessly. After the club opened again, we tried to pretend we could return to normal, but we only went through the motions, like robots. Meals were quiet and uncomfortable. After dinner, the others disappeared into town, splitting up, going off on their own. I think we were all avoiding one another, avoiding talking about what had happened. From time to time, I'd catch someone staring at me. They'd instantly turn away as soon as I caught them. I knew what they were thinking. They were thinking, did she kill Cassie and Pug? Did she? 4 nights after Pug's murder, Pete tried to give us a pep talk at the dining room table. He told us the summer was just starting and that all the trouble was over. Did anyone believe him? I don't think so. Danny asked if Cassie and Pug were being replaced. Pete said he was working on it. He told us the police had a new theory. They think that someone may have climbed over the fence those 2 nights, broke onto the grounds, and killed the lifeguards. I realized I didn't believe that. Sitting there, listening to Pete, I knew all at once that one of us had to be the killer. One of us at the table. I hadn't thought this till that very moment. I guess it was such a frightening idea that I shut it out of my mind. I knew that I wasn't the murderer, even though I was sure the police suspected me. My eyes went around the table from face to face. Pete, Danny, Deidre, Arnie, Spencer, Mayanne. Was one of them really that cold, that crazy, that dangerous? I had to get away. Away from the faces. Away from the club and the lifeguards and everything. I borrowed Danny's car. He gave me this intense look as he handed me the keys. Be careful, okay? He said softly. A few minutes later, I was heading out onto the highway. Where was I going? I didn't know, or care. I just had to drive. I lowered all the windows and let the hot breeze blow over me. It was a sultry, steamy evening. One of those wet summer nights where everything sticks to everything, and your whole body feels soggy and heavy. I didn't care. The hot air felt great against my face. I lowered my foot on the gas pedal and got the little Corolla up to near 70. The highway was nearly deserted. I passed a big, slow-moving truck and a couple of vans. Flat farmland stretched out on both sides of me, pink under the setting sun. The hot wind roared through the car. I reached forward for the knob to turn the radio on, and caught a glimpse of a face in the rearview mirror. A face leaning toward me from the back seat. Chapter 36. Lindsay. The car screeched out of control. I heard the loud, angry honk of a horn behind me. My head hit the roof as the car bounced onto the grassy shoulder. My heart standing still, I turned the wheel and somehow got back on the road. "Arnie, what are you doing back there?" I choked out, glaring at him furiously in the rearview mirror. "Sorry," he said, but his grin didn't fade. "Didn't mean to scare you." You nearly got us both killed," I shrieked. "Why did you hide back there?" He leaned forward. I could feel his hot breath on the back of my neck. It really gave me the creeps. I had both hands clamped on top of the wheel. I tried to concentrate on calming down and driving safely, but I was so furious, I just wanted to punch him and wipe that silly grin off his weaselly little face. "I thought I'd come along," Arnie said. "You know, maybe cheer you up." "Cheer me up," I shrieked. "Cheer me up by killing us both?" "Whoa, calm down, Lindsay," he said. "I'm on your side." "What's that supposed to mean?" I snapped. "I don't care what the others think," Arnie replied. "I don't think you're a murderer." He let out a high-pitched giggle. His laugh gave me the chills. "Is that how you plan to cheer me up?" I asked sarcastically. He frightened me, I realized. He stood up and climbed over into the passenger seat. "You should give me a chance," he said flatly. I like you, Lindsay, and I think you like me." "Listen, Arnie," I started to say, but he grabbed my arm. "I can tell you like me," he said breathlessly. His grip tightened on my arm. "That's enough," I cried. I hit the brake and guided the car onto the shoulder. We bounced hard, the tires slipping over tall grass. Before the car came to a stop, I threw open my door. "Hey!" Arnie called angrily, but I was already outside. My heart pounding, I crossed in front of the car and jerked open Arnie's door. "Get out!" I screamed. "Huh?" His eyes bulged wide with surprise. A truck roared by with a rush of hot wind. "Get out!" I repeated. "I mean it, Arnie. If you don't get out, I'm going to flag down a truck. I'm going to get the police." "But, Lindsay," he began to object. I grabbed his arm and tried to pull him out of the car. He pulled back. His eyes narrowed and his face twisted into an ugly sneer. "You're making a big mistake, Lindsay," he said. "A really big mistake."